bloodstream and potentially toxic levels. Your doctor prescribed those doses designed on normal metabolism, not metabolism with the metrogene in the system. Kratom changes that metabolism without your doctor's knowledge, because no one told you to mention it, nor are you asked. You go there in most hospitals. The normal panel does not have 7-hydroxymetrogene in that panel, and if you don't tell them, well, I'm taking kratom in one form or another, then they
He
don't
keeps
know.
conflating the two.
So if a person says, I'm on the serotonin reuptake drug, but I still feel very depressed.
But he's specifically talking about 708.
And they say, well, we'll up your dose a bit. So they're upping the dose and accelerating the toxicity of the situation she's in, because they never said, well, what do you eat? Do you exercise? Do you do this? Do you do that? One of the most dangerous features of kratom is that it affects change fundamentally with dose. And why is that important? We live in a polypharmaceutical world. We can many times look at a toxicology sheet that we have on an autopsy, and there's 18 different medications. There's no doubt that we're an over-medicated society. At low doses, it acts as a stimulant. At higher doses, it acts as an opioid. Excuse me, I have a cold. The boundary between those two zones varies from person to person, from product to product, and from batch to batch. There's no consistency here. There's no monitoring. There isn't no manufacturing status required. Potency testing. No regulation on the of the body's consistency. A person who uses kratom regularly may suddenly encounter a batch of dramatically higher concentrations of 7-hydroxymetrogene than they're accustomed to. And consequently, there's no label to tell them what the level is in the first place, and their body will respond very differently than it had before. Let's talk about specific organs in the body. The liver damage associated with kratom use is not hypothetical. It's not just thought up. It's real. It is documented by, excuse me, peer-reviewed medical literature, tracked by the National Institute of Health, and increasing in frequency. U.S. Drug-Induced Liver Injury Network. Then you will have sightings that you can look this up on your own. But the bottom line is, what it is doing, it is, the kratom is, because I told you the liver can't fight with its enzymes to process this. Jaundice, yellowing of skin and eyes, dark urine colored, severe fatigue and nausea, acute failure in the most serious cases, kidney failure, bilirubin levels that exceed 20 milligrams per deciliter, and that level indicating profound liver dysfunction. So this is what it's producing. And on a very high level of sales throughout our country, totally unregulated. In a 24 case report published by the peer-reviewed journal, a 56-year-old man arrived at the emergency department with liver failure so severe. Now remember, I told you that figure of Billy Rubin at 20. This was at 70.6. His liver was being cooked. More than 7 times the upper threshold of severe toxicity. That the medical team was considering a transplantation. They tried an experimental plasma exchange procedure, and it was used as a last resort, and he actually survived. He was very fortunate. Critically, analysis of the kratom products involved involved in liver injury cases they were caused by the kratom itself, not adulterants or contaminants. In other words, it wasn't anything else but the metrogene and the way they ferment it and process it. The industry frequent claim that liver injuries result from fainted or tainted products is not supported by evidence. There's no reports that contaminants are what's causing this problem. It is the metrogene, the 7-hydroxy metrogene. Frequency of kratom-related liver injury cases enrolled in a federal study in 2019 are started trending upward, and they have continued to trend upward since that and since the growth of the kratom sales. Perhaps the most underreported and least understood risk of kratom is its association with seizures. And I've actually worked on a case like this, including generalized toxic clonic seizures or grand mal seizures. Analysis of Poison Control Center calls from 2011 to 2017 documented 113 reported seizures among 1,174 kratom exposures. This is nearly 1 in 10 calls. How would you like your son thinking he's getting some sort of a power gummy or pill, and he might be a 1 in 10 risk? That those are the only cases where kratom was suspected or reported. They're not looking for it, they don't test for it. The true number is almost certainly higher, for a reason that should deeply concern every physician, every emergency responder, and every parent in the country. Kratom does not appear on standard drug screens. It is invisible to routine toxicology testing. So they're missing it. They're missing it, and it isn't added in, yet we know that it has tremendous power with other drugs that a person may be taking. When a young person arrives at an emergency room in the middle of a seizure, clinicians run a standard toxicology panel. Kratom will not show up. The physician will rule out obvious causes, order other very expensive testing and blood work, and may never identify kratom as the cause. The seizures test is treated, and the patient goes home. They continue using kratom, and the cycle repeats itself. I have worked a case like that right now. A documented case published in the Journal of Epilepsy and Behavior describes a 19-year-old male who developed recurrent seizures during daily kratom use in a self-treatment for anxiety. And let me tell you, there are a lot of people that are self-treating so that they think they can get off of other drugs, and it's a deadly combination. He was placed in an anti-seizure medication. He continued to seize while on that medication because he continued using kratom. He had a total of 6 documented grand mal seizures. His 6th cause of the motor vehicle was caused a motor vehicle accident. Brain MRI at 29 months revealed permanent structural damage to various areas of the brain. Cases published in the journal Neurology, one of the most prestigious neurological publications in medicine, also conforms to what I'm telling you today about the production of grand mal seizures and then later on damage to the brain. You will see below this the different parts of the brain where there is the most effect, and there are not the side effects of a harmless herbal supplement. And that's what they want you to think. These are the consequences of a unregulated, pharmacologically powerful substance being sold next to chewing gum and power drinks in stores and vape shops. The most lethal, the one that's causing the most deaths, is the fact that America is the highest as far as people taking multiple drugs on a daily basis. We are pharmaceutically dependent in many cases. Of all the dangers I have described, the one that appears most frequently are cases where the kratom product, and when I say kratom product, I am saying that something was manufactured, fermenting and creating a different result than you would get if you just chew on a leaf. So this isn't like somebody in Asia who's chewing on a leaf and picking rice or something like that. This is a totally different thing. It's a concentration of the fermentation process which causes the damage. Kratom combined with other substances. Kratom does not stay in its lane pharmacologically because it inhibits the enzymes, which I told you before, in the liver, turning a prescription therapeutic dose into a toxic one. So you're poisoning yourself by inhibiting and just doing a constant buildup of some other drug. And we talked about those, anything from methadone. Well, how many people are in drug programs and on methadone? And it never gets into and processed through the liver the way it should. The dosage is up and you have a problem. Serotonin syndrome, this is very high, a potentially fatal interaction. Now this interaction involves serotonin, and we all know what SSRIs are. Do you know what SSRIs are? Those are all those antidepressant drugs. Kratom alkaloids stimulate serotonin receptors. When combined with medication, that also rises serotonin. The SSRIs, the Prozac, the Zoloft, the Lexapro, on down the line, all these antidepressants, The combination of the two can cause agitation, confusion, disorientation, rapid and dangerous elevations of heart rate and high blood pressure, extreme hyperthermia, and I mean extreme, from exceeding 104 to 106 degrees Fahrenheit, muscle rigidity, uncontrolled tremors, and seizures, in severe cases, death. It's sitting in his vape shops right now. A published case report of a 63-year-old man who arrived at the emergency room with flushing, confusion, aphasia, and a temperature of 106 Fahrenheit. He was initially worked for stroke and meningitis. It was serotonin syndrome caused by kratom interacting with the prescription psychotic he was taking. The documented death has been attributed to kratom interacting with the medication prescribed by millions of Americans for bipolar disorder, depression, and insomnia. The kratom blocked the liver enzymes that should have cleared the medication. Toxic level buildup. The patient died. This is what's happening today. And again, it isn't the leaf, it's the processing of the leaf and the way they do it. The opioid combination, a death sentence. The majority of kratom-related deaths documented in the medical literature involves polysubstance exposure, and using some other drugs in the kratom. Among those are opioid co-use and the most common and most deadly combination. Florida study showed that over 30,000 decedents found that in 30,000 decedents that the odds of dying from the drug intoxication was 5.6 times higher in those with kratom in their system. So their deaths 5 to 6 times higher. Of kratom exposure, decedents, 93% had multiple substances, and because that's what caused the death, and 79 had used at least one opioid. So it doesn't work well, and it's not friendly with somebody who's taking opioids or medications, which sometimes are medications. The people dying are not recreational drug abusers in the traditional sense. Many of them were individuals attempting to manage the withdrawal from opioids. And without medical supervision, they turned to kratom because it was legal, available, and advertised as helpful, instead of a treatment that is found with fatal combinations. The CDC from 2000, the data of 2,338 overdose deaths entered into the state of drug overdosing system. It found that 152 decedents, 56, tested positive for kratom. A medical examiner or coroner determined kratom is to be the cause of death in 91 of those cases. There have been few people in the hospitals and in practice that have been testing for metrogene or the processed metrogene. But also, it has not been regularly done at coroner's office when we're looking at a drug panel, except we have changed in that we do a presumptive testing on every case that runs through here. And it is taken from the urine sample. And that tells us what kind of a panel we're going to do. I would even advise hospitals to have it if they maybe think it is there, and do a urine test, so they might not necessarily have to spend the expense, on the other testing if it's negative. But if it's positive, they can catch somebody and say, whoa, you can't take this particular drug and be taking the kratom from the shops. And these numbers are almost certainly undercounted, because at this time I'm giving you studies that have been published, that have been there a while, and it's an upward motion. Most coroner's offices and most toxicology labs do not routinely screen metrogen, which I've told you. And we are routinely streaming everybody that comes through here. Now let me make a personal statement here. I want to take the moment to step away from the data and tell you a story. We had a brilliant young man that was here. We have an internship program. He was an intern like you. And he was admitted to the School of Pharmacy in Philadelphia. And he was just a straight A student. When I was a professor at Harrisburg University, I instructed him. And I thought he had the brightest future I could ever think of, and he'd be a great pharmacist or researcher. Well, he was researching, and this was way back when kratom just started to come in, and you talk about only leaf. I think he got only mostly leaf, but I think he was also playing maybe with some other drugs, I don't know. All I do know is that he passed away. All that future is gone. All the hopes of the parents, it's gone. And he got it by mail. He got it by mail. How is this still legal? This was one of my bigger surprises when I was doing this research. 2016, the Drug Enforcement Administration moved to classify kratom as a Schedule I controlled substance. You know what that means? That's just like any opioid, right? The same category as heroin, okay? And so it puts it in that category. The kratom industry organized, mobilized its users, and convinced 51 members of the Congress to sign a letter opposing that action. Wow. The DEA backed down. The scheduling was withdrawn. A substance with documented opioid receptor activity, no FDA approval, and a growing death toll was kept legal. If we go around here, I want you to guess how many states have banned hydroxymetrogen from their states. Give me a number. Somebody give me a number. Pardon?
20.
8, 5, 10.
7. Now, to the credit of the Pennsylvania House right now, they're trying to write some legislation, but There are 7 states that ban it. I would love to see Pennsylvania be number 8. For all the crying mothers, for all the suffering kids, that's what I'd like to see. Because if we don't do this, we almost hate our children, because they can walk into any one of these shops. So I want to call to action mandatory federal scheduling or regulation of kratom and its derivatives under the DEA and the FDA, with full clinical safety review before any commercial sale. If you don't get it up to there, we shouldn't be playing with this. How can science always matter unless something is so powerful on the marketing side that nobody wants to talk about it? We're not using science nowadays. Mandatory inclusion of metrogene screening in standard hospital and coroner tox panels. Immediate removal of kratom product from any retail establishment accessible to minors. Require disclosure by all kratom sellers that the product is not FDA approved and carries documented risk of liver injury, seizures, and fatal drug interactions. Federal funding for comprehensive clinical trials to establish a safety profile. If there's anything good about it, which I don't believe it is, the way it's being manufactured. I'm not saying that you can't come up with this product as you do with marijuana and say, well, we can make medical marijuana. But right now, there's been no testing with kratom from a pharmaceutical level that has been approved by the PFDA. And by the process that they're doing of fermenting a vast, intense amount of this product. Coordination between public health agencies, emergency physicians, and coroners to improve reporting of kratom-related adverse events and deaths. If you are a parent, talk to your children. Kratom is being sold at the same place that they have their snacks and their breaks after school and that sort of stuff. If you are a healthcare provider, ask your patients about kratom by name. It will not appear on their drug screen. You must ask. If you are a lawmaker, the evidence is in front of you. It has been in front of you for years. The bodies accumulating in my office are the consequence of inaction. That young intern he'll never finish college. Now, this is Jeff Tracy. He's the Assistant Chief Deputy here, and he looked at a few associations that are lobbying associations. Remember, 2016? Would you give me the names of those?
It's the American Kratom Association and the Global Kratom Cooperative.
Is there a differentiation between the two of them?
I believe just from their own sites that the American Kratom Association appears to be advocating for just no regulation across the board, where the Global Kratom Coalition looks to endorse the safe use of kratom and almost shying away from the synthetic varieties.
Out of the 47 references I gave you, which are actually scientific studies, and they use peer-reviewed practices, it's clinical fact of what I told you today and how it affects these organs such as the liver, the brain. You know, this is not kid stuff. There has to be regulation. And
Did he literally say the American Kratom Association advocates for no regulation?
I was just putting that in the comments. Are you
banned
serious?
this product.
Oh!
It only reduced the sale of it by 40%. Because there's no means, you don't have the capacity to just go to every store and see what they're selling. You know, there's no enforcement behind the banning. But it did lower it because they're getting better information out there to their citizens. So I'm proud that the House is looking at this. I really encourage coroners and the medical institution to look at testing for metrogene. And are there any questions? Go ahead.
You said, to be clear, you said in Dauphin County you're testing for this.
Yes.
Then what is your caseload or data? Do you have anything, any data of like the number of people?
So we have 3 over the past couple of years. We have 2 this year, and those 2 were both polypharm. So both of those had
Wow, what a
708
dropping like flies.
as well as either SSRIs or antidepressants or benzodiazepines as a co-medication.
So 2 of them were.
They don't play well with methadone either.
You said several years. When was the other?
I believe it's 2 or 3. So we tried doing some research. I tried pulling up. Sadly, we weren't looking at kratom as a by name a few years back. So we're trying to dig that one out of the files. It's in there. We'll just have to pull it up.
The problem was then, as we take toxicology and we run the screens, but even one of the largest forensic toxicology labs didn't do testing for kratom until this year.
What?
Until this year. So how long has this been going on?
Oh my goodness.
You know, that's the problem. This allows us, number one, to produce a
He did say
presumptive
708.
testing that will give you the metrogene's
This year.
existence,
Or the last 2.
but not the amount of toxicology in milligrams and that sort of stuff. So you have to do that testing with more sophisticated equipment. But it has to be done, and I think the first way is to just ban itself, the sales of it in your state.
Yeah.
The second one is have the scientific discussion. Remember what I started with. You have to start with logic. You see these deaths going up. You see the relationship to the liver. You see it to the brain, to seizures and all that. Logically, I'd say we got an issue here, right? So you use logic, mathematical certainty. You have 43 studies that have good data right there. And the last one is observational science. So if we stop the sale of it, look at the data, observe it. We cannot be involved in ideology. We have to be looking only for the truth. And the truth is that this is not helping our society. There are many polypharmaceutical issues we can look at that are we overdosing our society today? That has become a conversation. And when we look at panels here, we can see a panel with somebody taking 18 drugs.
And that's kratom's fault?
Many of them are counteracted to the other as far as health. So
Does
I
this
think
guy
we have
even
to
know
have
about
this
the temporarily
conversation.
scheduling? Like, I guess
This one worries me the most
his
because
researcher
it's
sucks.
so available, totally unregulated, and no scientific studies be behind
Somebody
it that
asked
will
him
tell
to
you
do this,
any differently than the
Yeah.
studies you see there.
and provided the
So
script.
thank you very much, and I commend those in the House that are trying to get this through, and I also believe there's probably going to be a federal move in the future.
Wake up, buddy.
Yeah, you called Kratom a public health emergency. I just wanted to know, is it a bigger threat in Dauphin County than something like fentanyl?
If I can.
Yeah, go ahead.
I would say no. I think it's an emergent crisis. It's West Coast to East Coast. Do I think it's as big as fentanyl? I don't think it's as big as fentanyl. I think we need to clearly define that the leaf, the kratom leaf versus the kratom that's been synthesized. And we use kratom very specifically in all of our contexts today to just reflect that they're marketing it in those shops as kratom when it's actually been synthesized to 100 to 500 times what it should be. So the issue lies in the synthetic variety of what they're calling kratom, and it's really taking away from the folks who are using the botanical
Obviously,
kratom,
I think so.
for their own medicinal
Obviously.
purposes that don't appear to be nearly as harmful.
This guy got it right.
I just have
Yeah.
follow-up
Yeah.
questions. I know there are people in Pennsylvania
Sure.
who say that
That's
kratom
definitely a
can
KDA
help
script.
even
Sure.
reduce them getting off other drugs. What would you say to those people?
I would say that they are likely getting it from a botanical source as opposed to the coffee shop or the local convenience store. I personally am an advocate for whatever works, so long as it's legal, moral, ethical, all of those things. And like Graham had mentioned about legalizing or medical marijuana, if it's I
Oh,
think
when
that
he
it
said
should be
no
regulated.
regulation,
It should be
maybe
looked
he
at
was
by
talking
them
about
to
no
make sure that
regulation.
we're doing
7
things
up.
safely, or they're consuming things that aren't going to
I'm
long
so
term become a
confused.
public health hazard.
You guys mentioned communication at home between parents and kids. Sometimes that can be a little bit tricky because, parents aren't always on top of what their children are doing. And what other ways do you think a parent could protect their kids from this?
Yeah, so I think that's a tough one, right? So being involved with your kids, talking to your kids, it's kind of tough when they can walk by the convenience store and just pick it off the shelf and really unknown until something occurs. As Graham was mentioning, even our young kids are on antidepressants and things that can build, rightfully prescribed.
That's
These
what
things
I'm
inhibit their
How could
uptake,
they not
so the
know?
levels in there become toxic. So just paying attention to your children, watching for the subtle signs, and just talking. I don't know that there's any overtly outward signs that are going to give an indication.
And you must remember, a lot of children are on medications like for bipolar disease, depression, and there are more kids today on medications than there ever was 20 years ago.
Yeah,
They interact
years ago.
with this product, so it's very dangerous. And
He said several
these
times he was not
conferences have to
against
be
leaf,
given.
but then he
And I go
completely,
back again.
I don't know.
If
He
you have a
didn't know
child
anything he was talking about.
and he would be on any of the ADD drugs or any of that, I would ask my family physician when he gets into those teens, would you run in his drug panel messaging?
You got a follow-up?
Haven't had contact.
Yeah, I have a quick follow-up.
All right, go ahead.
Kind of-
See, that dude has to remind him sometimes.
What criteria do you guys use when you determine, public health warnings like this one versus publicly discussing deaths at the county jail?
We knew that was coming.
Yeah.
So we would just like to honestly keep this one towards just the kratom to keep.
Ooh, what happened at the
Kratom.
jails?
Appreciate your effort.
Ooh.
It's been discussed. It's been talked through. This is really not the forum for that one. I appreciate the question though. Any other follow-ups?
Just a quick question. I saw the DEA filed its intent on July 1st.
Here we go.
To put 7-OH as a Schedule 1 CSA. How does that kind of vote? Is that something in which you're all thinking that that's a step in the correct direction with something like this? Or is there something in which you think...
Neither. Look at that corner. He had no idea.
Right.
To help further kind of establish the medical not necessity, so to speak, of something like this, as people are turning to it as a usage, but why that's saying it's actually not medically advisable.
You getting the gist of that
I'm
question?
trying, I was there in the
Sure.
beginning,
Yeah.
so you
I
kind of
think
lost me halfway
in
through.
the sense, seeing the DEA taking steps that are reversed from obviously prior
Sure.
timeframes
Sure.
where they were discussing
Yeah.
that was originally going to be something they
Sure.
were talking about, now it will be.
So
filed
if
as
we
an
can parcel your question out, so the first part is the FDA looking at the 7-OH. Vice kratom, the plant. They clearly define the two. Kratom, the plant, they're not looking at the strict restriction as they are the 7-OH, which is the synthesized kratom.
Yes.
So I think they're very clearly defined and separate. So I think both should parallel. I think that they're heading in the right direction as far as what the potential exists for harm in the 7-OH, the synthesized variety. I think, that is the great start and where we should be heading. The botanical variety, I think, I don't want to get into my own personal opinions, but I think that runs with the medical marijuana and that line that.
But I
This
still
guy
think it
should
should
have
be
done the-
tested
I agree.
regularly,
Yeah, I agree.
because we haven't studied it. There's
Right.
been no studies. So even if you eat a bushel of the metrogene in the leaf form.
He doesn't even know how to say it.
Wouldn't you still want to know what it's doing to your body?
There's over 1,000
And
studies,
that's
buddy.
the problem. How could you ever figure out what an appropriate? You have to do the same thing you did with marijuana. I supported the first legislation here for medical marijuana, but highly controlled. And today it gets a little broader than I think somebody has a headache and all of a sudden they got a medical marijuana script. So, but we have to get back to the testing and the true reason why this should be either a pharmaceutical product or just like candy and soft drinks in the general market.
Was there more to that question that we didn't answer? Okay.
Kate, this is a live press conference, so I'm sure you're gonna be hit. Yeah, this is gonna be on your radar.
As you leave, we have
Like
3
candy and soft drink.
packets of spice.
Get the hell out of here.
I was lying.
Thank you.
Thank you.
He doesn't even know how to say it, so I doubt highly he even knows about any of the studies.
This was insane to watch. The bald guy gets it. The bald guy understands it.
He probably wrote up all the stuff.
The crypt keeper. You said so many wrong things. Sorry, guys. I'm still in my. I didn't turn my camera off.
Oh,
Still in my nightgown
you should have seen the comments on that live, dude.
on Facebook.
Yeah, it was just like, it wasn't even that bad, but it was just like, kratom. People were like, oh, well, it's kratom, because they didn't put the title of what he was talking about in the. So everybody's like coming in there like, what drug? What drug? And people were like, kratom. And then somebody's like, no, it's 7-OH. And of course, it's like, it's kratom and 7-OH. And then, so it's like, nobody really even knew what the hell this was about.
Graham, the crypt keeper, buddy. Good old buddy, old pal. You conflated everything, and you did not do your due diligence and do the research. The FDA has done their own study on this.
How much you want to bet the dude he was talking about, that kid, the what do you call it, intern?
The intern?
Yeah, I guarantee you that was not even kratom.
Yeah. I wonder if it was 7-OH. And when he first started speaking, we kind of got late, because the audio was so horrible on this. And so we kind of got late to starting it. But even in the beginning, Graham, the coroner, had said that what did he say? He doesn't have a problem with the leaf. It's 7-OH. That's what he said in the beginning. Oh, what does it say?
Why you didn't ask his mom? Honey, I know, baby. I know he died from Benadryl, not kratom, first of all. Yeah, nobody should believe these coroners on stuff like that. Everybody, you know what? If anybody hasn't checked it out, go to opentruth.org. You will
Uh-huh.
find every single source of things, the truth. You'll find the truth about all these deaths.
Uh-huh. They did a deep dive on some of the deaths, not all of them. I'm pretty they're probably in the works of doing all of them right now.
So opentruth.org, check it out. It's amazing. Yeah,
But yeah, man. And then he said the AKA advocates for no regulation.
that he must have meant 708.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I'm saying. Like, I think the baldy dude got it. He understood what was going on, but the crib keeper, dude, that guy reminds me, and I love my dad with all my heart. Y'all don't get me wrong. But he had that smoker's cough and that
Yeah.
alcohol look.
Yeah.
Like he just got done. He got up, wasn't feeling great because he drank the night before, took a shower, slicked his hair back, got to work, got him some coffee, smoked him cigarettes, and started that press conference. I was like, he had my dad's cough and everything.
Yeah, my dad's cough too. But he said he was sick. Just because nobody died from 708 doesn't mean it's safe.
No, that does not mean it's safe.
Mm-mm.
And besides that, and my thing is this with that statement, 7.0 is safe, no one ever died from it. My thing is they're not testing between mitragynine and 7.0H. They might test for mitragynine. Is it in that time sensitive? Oh, spam caller. Yeah, is it in the same time that they can actually test for 7.0H if they even do test for it? I mean, I don't know. I'm not saying they have or haven't. I don't really give a shit, but I do know 7.0H got to go.
Yeah.
What I do know.
It's about to go. 708 and his ugly stepsisters.
Like, if it ain't killing people, it's killing people's livelihoods. Period. 99% of the people that take it are getting screwed over.
He said they're looking at it. They have no clue of FDA schedule. Yeah, because it wasn't even the FDA. Well, it was the the FDA brought it to the DA's attention about scheduling 708, but the dude didn't even talk about that at all. And then at the end, when Baldy, was talking about it, well,
yeah, the journalist dude,
the journalist, Crypt Keeper is looking at him like, "What are you talking about, man?" I
was like, "What?"
And then Megan or Kate, what is going on with the jails? What happened in the jails?
Yeah, I want to know about that. I don't know. That was a waste of time. I mean, it wasn't a waste of time because it's misinformation being spread, but oh Lord. And it was literally a KDA script.
It is familiar for sure.
Very familiar.
But he did a whole
that was familiar thing. I could.
That was a whole ass press conference, and he's calling for a state ban, but in actuality, he's talking about 708.
Yeah,
not Metrogene.
Metrogene, dude didn't even know how to say it. Get out of here. You're a coroner? Could you imagine a coroner calling another state coroner and be like, "Did you test for the Metrogene?"
Yeah. Oh, I know, Amy. I know.
It's insane. Oh, you don't. Katie says she doesn't know.
Mm-hmm.
What game is it there? Yeah.
Well, it's probably going to be coming down the pipeline because I know after this, the news stories are going to go buck wild. But hopefully a journalist will correct them.
Yeah. Oh, is that
really?
what happened in the jail? Ooh, I was about to go look it up on their news thing.
But why would the journal? Yeah, let's go look it up. Because why would the journalists question the coroners about the jail?
I'm guessing because they haven't. You know how like whenever they try and keep it low down,
yeah,
TV and they're like, "Oh, they're having a press conference. We're gonna ask them about this today." Got to be something like that. Is this Saskatchewan Valley?
No, this was Dauphin or something like that.
Oh, that's right. It was.
Well, what you sent me, Megan, I mean, like, why would they question the coroners about it though? An inmate or somebody had to have died or something.
I don't see anything on their face. I was looking on their Facebook to see if they had. Wait. You know what I really hate? I'm not gonna look on their Facebook. I'm gonna have to look that up later. But like, you know, my Memphis does this shit too on Facebook. They'll post like a headline and you're like, "Oh my God, that happened in Memphis." And then you click on it and it's like fucking New York or something like that. It's not, you know, I'm like, dude. So that's what they're doing in that.
Okay, so something happened on June 23rd. An incarcerated individual died by an apparent suicide on June 23rd, 2026 at the Dauphin County Prison, marking the first death at the facility in 2 years.
So the bald dude is a sheriff, and so I guess since he was on that press conference, they was gonna grill him.
Well, why was he wearing a coroner shirt?
Dauphin County is where the capital is. Well, you know, at least, you know, I had a legislation session, so you'll be prepared.
Well, when legislation comes up, you know you got to mosey on down there, Kate.
Man.
We had a good time with Kate in DC. Ugh. Yeah, we literally rolled out of bed for this one, y'all.
Yeah.
So don't forget to join us later. We are going live at 5 p.m. Eastern time with John Shinholzer. Live at 5, yep. With John Shinholzer and Dr. Aaron Berthold. And I think Jordan's going to join us too.
Amy, he said something about one of the journalists that asked him a question. It was about something about the jails in Dauphin County or whatever.
Yeah.
We're not answering any questions about that today. We're going to leave it about Kratom only. So that's what we were talking about.
Oh, well, I guess if the Baldy was the sheriff, maybe journalists be sneaking in questions too.
Yeah, they do. Those little spiny ass bastards. So they can construe. So I don't trust a journalist to save my life. What I seen them do. Yeah. Man. Tell you what. Yeah, so I can't wait. I can't wait till later today. So we can. I love
5 p.m. Eastern. We'll be going live. Okay. Well, we'll end this one. Finally go take our showers.
Yeah, I was about to say, I want to go take a shower. But yeah, live at 5, John Shinholzer and Dr. Aaron Berthold. Yeah. I hope I'm saying her name right. Berthold.
I think I'm pretty sure it's sound making it right.
We'll find out.
Yeah.
We'll find out. I'm going to say, let me just make sure I got your name right. All right, everybody. Well, sorry to start off the day with such a shit show, but sometimes that's how it goes.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. Everybody have a good day.